Today we are talking stable, spikeless shoes. That might sound like a little bit of a misnomer, but I'm here to tell you they exist, and I'm here to review a pair for you today. I'm Ryan Ballengee. Thanks for checking us out once again. We appreciate you watching. Today we are reviewing the FootJoy ProSLs. So, if you don't know, FootJoy ProSLs are some of the hottest selling golf shoes in the world. This is kind of the professionals, the better players' spikeless shoe. At least that's how it billed by FootJoy. And they completely redesigned it for this new generation, and so they say against the advice of tour players who enjoy wearing it. But you always got to make things better. You always got to improve on things that are good if you can do that. And so this ProSL model, which is the standard model, not the carbon model, that would be a different review altogether, but the ProSL standard model, this is what FootJoy believes should be the gold standard in spikeless performance golf shoes. Now, there are spikeless shoes out there that have very little aspiration to deliver on performance. They are there to be comfortable, and they are there to be worn to walk around the course and, feel good and get energy in your back or back to your feet so you don't feel tired. But they're really not there for a better player. They're not there for someone who wants performance on every shot and just wants to have something that's spikeless instead. There's a category for that. There's performance spikeless, and ProSL is in that category. So I got the Boa model sent to me. Many of you know, if you watch this channel over time, that I love Boa. It's one of the things I kind of stand firm on with golf shoes. I love lots of different types of golf shoes, variety of reasons, but Boa is something I love to stand by because it just makes putting shoes on, keeping them comfortable throughout a round easier. As if you've never seen a Boa, this is a little bit different of a location than I'm used to. FootJoy tends to do this more than any other manufacturer. Some others will put it here, some put it here. They do it on the back a little bit for a variety of reasons, but there's basically a wire system in here, and those replace the laces. Those wires hook up to this dial right here that you pull out to loosen, and then you push it in. As it clicks, it tightens. And if you want to customize your fit throughout the round, just tighten it a little bit, go on your way. Or if you want to loosen up, pull it out, loosen up, click it back in, tighten it some more. You get a more exact fit, move some micro adjustments, you're going to love it. Pay a little bit of premium for it, but you're going to love it. And you probably won't go back. But that's an aside here. That's one of the models available. There's also a standard lace model that's just the same in terms of everything else on this shoe, except the Boa piece. But let me tell you about the features that are common to both, and even the carbon as well. So the ProSL, the whole idea behind this shoe is, one, it's spikeless, SL, spikeless, but also that it has all the performance features you would otherwise expect from a tour-worn shoe. And so you get that with this. You have a 2-year waterproof warranty on the upper. It is leather. It looks nice. It doesn't look like a tennis shoe or a street shoe. This is meant to look like a golf shoe. And it looks the part. There's also obviously some decoration here, but it actually is functional. So this is what's called the power harness. You see this in a lot of shoes now in varying different looks, but the mission is all the same, and that is to provide additional stability and support for side-to-side and up and down movement. And so when you have the shoe tied together on your foot, it provides a little bit of a cage or a boundary or whatever for your foot to move, so it doesn't move quite as much with just leather alone, but it kind of stays more in place and delivers a little bit more stability. So you get that with the harness piece of that. What they decided to do with the outsole here is really I think the big innovation over the prior ProSL. So what they call it the infinity outsole, kind of like an infinity pool, like it looks like it goes on forever. And if you do kind of look at it, you don't see a clear end to it. It just kind of floats out a little bit. So I guess that's kind of the term they came up with it, infinity. But you don't really see that it's that much bigger because of the way that the shoe is constructed. But even though you don't see it, the performance benefit is there. So because it floats out a little bit, it gives you, in all the places that you need, a wider base. And a wider base can mean more stability. It can also mean more surface area to cover the ground. And with more surface area, you can put more contact points. So there's something like 189 contact points on each of the ProSL shoes. And so you've got lots of stability just sitting around the outside of the shoe. You got some stability where you need it the most, where you're kind of making your shift. You've got stability on the inner heel, which is really important. You've got stability here on the inside of your foot where you're going to, closer to the front, where you're going to put a lot of stress. But you also have just enough stability that you need on the outside, even though you don't place nearly as much of the kind of stress on the outside of your foot as you do the inside of your foot in a golf swing, pretty much in any golf swing. What you have otherwise in the midsole is finely tuned foam. They call it dual density FTF. And this is kind of their proprietary foam that's designed to be comfortable and also still stable, to not affect the stability of the shoe in a negative way. So it's not squishy, but it's comfortable. And so there's dual density pieces to it. So these are the more, less dense pieces, I suppose. These aren't really for as much stability. They're more for a little bit more comfort. So they kind of give you a little bit more energy back as you step throughout the round. And they're a little bit more comfortable with each step. So you've got this midsole. This is the kind of a foam, more or less frame for these two pieces. And then there's another piece that sits on top of it that you can't see here because of the very nice inset. But there's basically a black piece of foam that completes the dual density portion of the midsole. As I mentioned, the upper, all leather, looks great. There's some cushioning on the inset, that footbed there. You have a nice little amount of stability here in the heel. There's no heel holder, as you might see, is expressly put on other shoes, because that's kind of become a big thing, is heel stability, because that controls where your foot moves. If your heel's in place, you're probably going to stay more stable throughout the swing. But there is some of that here, and you can see that here as well. There are some call-outs to that, but it's not like a punch-it-in-your-face feature, but it's there. This shoe is comfortable, but I feel like every FootJoy shoe I've ever worn requires some breaking in. It's not 1,000% comfortable out of the box. And I just think that's kind of FootJoy's way of doing things. They want it to be a little bit firmer, and then you kind of work into it. That's their MO. There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to know that when you try it on in a store, or when you put it on for the first time after you mail order, and you go, man, that's kind of firm. It gets better. I promise you, it gets better. It's going to get a little bit more, not beat in, but it's going to get a little bit more worn in. 2, 3, 4 rounds. Probably, I would say probably by the 4th round with these, it felt really good. Felt like it knew my feet. I felt like I knew them a little bit better. But for the first couple of rounds, it's going to feel like you're wearing a shoe with a wood bottom from 1987. And I don't mean that in a pejorative sense. It's way more comfortable. All the materials are better. But compared to maybe something that your foot knows and is maybe really comfortable, that you've worn in over time, this is not that right out of the gate. The other thing that you need to know is this area here, the toe box, it's not particularly wide. The shoe may be stable. There's a stability here, and that's tremendous. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But from a comfort standpoint, this is a little bit more of a narrow toe box. So if you've got kind of a flare out, you got a flat foot that sits flat, or you just have a wider foot up top than maybe relative to the back half of your foot, that is something to look out for. FootJoy does a great job with sizing options in terms of widths and lengths and making those combinations work. I would look at that if you have a wider foot, or if you want a wider toe box, take a look at those options there. In terms of performance, it does everything I need it to do. I wear a lot of spikeless shoes when I play golf. Not typically when I play tournament golf, but I wear a lot of spikeless shoes, and this does the job. This is a step above a lot of spikeless shoes. Because again, a lot of spikeless shoes are lugs on what amount to a tennis shoe. And they don't deliver the same kind of traction that you would expect. This, with the wider base, 1, and with the amount of traction points that they put on it, 2, can get you pretty close to a spike shoe. It's not the same, it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. And it's more comfortable than maybe your traditional spiked shoe. We've seen more performance spike models come along in recent memory that are comfortable and deliver the performance of spiked. This is maybe going the other way. We've seen models that are spikeless but deliver the performance. This isn't like a running shoe disguised as a golf shoe. This is a golf shoe through and through. Do not mistake that. But that's what FootJoy's going for the most part. They want a golf shoe that also has performance benefits for golfers, and they're not trying to con you into thinking you should wear these outside at a restaurant or a bar or whatever after the round. You put these on, you play golf, you take them off, you put on other shoes, you go home or wherever you're going to go next. These are a $200 shoe, and they're $200 because they believe it's a performance shoe that a PGA Tour player or another touring professional would wear in lieu of wearing spikes. And there are plenty of players on tour who prefer this shoe over, say, for example, the Tour X model, which is kind of their flagship spike shoe, kind of their tour players, heavy spike shoe type deal. There are plenty of players who prefer this because it looks like a golf shoe, performs like a golf shoe, but has components that definitely don't feel traditional. So take a look at these if you're interested in a spikeless shoe where you don't have to give up the benefits of good stability, good traction. Also, you're looking for this if you're not looking for something that feels like a slipper. You still need some stability, medial, lateral. You need both of those. And also look at this if you're thinking about getting into Boa, because FootJoy's been a great adopter of Boa products over the years. They know how to integrate it well, and they figured out ways of doing it that works for each of the shoes with which they do it. So 2 thumbs up on the shoe. I enjoy it a lot. It's going to be in the rotation, and when I'm thinking about needing more performance from a shoe, but I still want some comfort to walk the course, I'm going to think about this against a spike shoe and then see where it leaves me. I'm Ryan Ballengee saying thanks for watching. We appreciate it, and we will see you next time.